Develop a style guide, like I showed in the earlier slide. Really develop a master brand brief that really sets kind of the tone and the business case and the target for your brand. Develop an improved set of messaging for universal use. Ensure alignment across the entire organization. In our brand group, we approve everything that goes in and out the door from a consumer perspective. Finally, ensure all of the functions adhere to those brand rules, and really make sure that you develop that approval system regardless of origin. So I think that's it. Thank you for staying with me. I want to encourage you guys to seek more information about our online classes, and I hope you've enjoyed this, and now I'll take questions.
Okay, the first question is, do words or images have the most effect on a brand?
The question is, do you want me to repeat the question? Okay, do words or images have the most effect on a brand? I think it's a combination of things. It's not just words or images. Again, the touch points I showed you, you can have the right words. You can take Verizon, you can have it's the network with the right image. But if I call customer care and I'm sitting on the phone for 30, 40 minutes, that affects the brand because it's annoyed consumers because the engagement is negative. And so you really have to make sure that when you're building a brand, it has to play itself out across all of those touch points. Because again, the PR, everything, because it's more than just words and images. It's really about all of those touch points and how the employees perpetuate the brand.
Does a brand work differently in a digital social media world?
The question is, does a brand work differently in a digital or social media world? Yes, it's so funny you say that. I'm currently engaging in a lot of social media activity, and I think yes, it does. So you have to understand, I think, from a brand standpoint, in social media, are you trying to build the brand or are you trying to sell a product? Because I think what I'm finding is that a lot of times for example, I could hire a celebrity, so I could hire Kim Kardashian to tweet about my brand, right? And people actually do that. These celebrities are even paid to tweet about the brand. This is not unsolicited information. But I can pay her. But again, is it going to actually make someone get up and kind of go to the store and kind of buy something? I think that the role a lot of times of social media is really to build brand credibility and to create empathy. I think it's a little challenging to get into kind of an acquisition play unless you're going to put a lot of money behind it. So you can build a whole kind of microsite, but unless you're going to put it out there, go to this microsite and actually market it, it gets a little challenging. So I do think that in social media it's much different. I think it's really more about building credibility for the brand, and you have to use it strategically, and you have to balance the results versus what you spend.
Last question. How can a TV network, movie studio, music company have its own brand when they have so many different offerings?
Excellent question. The question is, how can a TV network or a movie studio kind of have their own brand when they have so many different other properties and movies and things of that nature? So let me give you an example of a network, I think, that has done an incredible job of building a network brand. If you look at kind of the Turner companies, kind of TBS, TBS has really built a brand rooted in funny. And so what they do, for the most part, is most of the movies, most of the programming you'll see on TBS is all rooted in humor. Most of the movies you'll see in a Saturday afternoon, they just kind of take up your time, but they're good. Are kind of classic movies that are really rooted in humor. So they stick to kind of a certain kind of genre, and that's allowed them to really build a very clear brand versus other networks. Now, when you're getting into things like movie studios and things of that nature, it sometimes can get a little more complicated. That's why you see some of the studios sometimes develop kind of sub brands for some of their films. Because perhaps it's not necessarily a kind of a fit. So yes, from a studio perspective, I see how that could get a little complicated. But really, develop kind of an umbrella brand, and the umbrella brand can really be rooted in kind of excellent filmmaking, and I know I'm sort of going all over the place. But I do think it's possible to still build an umbrella brand, even though you have multiple sub-brands.
One more here. At what point should brand owners consider altering or changing a brand?
The question is, at what point should a brand owner consider altering or changing a brand? For me, so I'm in the wireless industry. The wireless industry is very dynamic. There's a lot of competition. I personally am a fan of reevaluating a brand every 2 years. I think every year you need to go back. You need to look at the landscape, see how it's changed, see how your competitive set has changed, see if your positioning and your brand is still viable relative to the competition. And changing the brand doesn't necessarily mean changing the logo or changing the typeface. It could mean a slight shift in the positioning. It could mean a new advertising campaign, so it doesn't have to mean kind of relaunching a brand from scratch. But I would say, just to be safe, I would encourage everyone to kind of, give a quick once-over to their brand every other year, just to make sure that it's still competitive and viable, because the landscape changes so frequently.
Okay, so you can tell them they can continue to send questions to info@rui.us.com.
Okay, well, thanks for your questions, and you can continue to send questions to info@rui.us.com. And thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this quick webinar, and once again, I encourage you to go online and find out more information about the new Media Management Certificate. Have a great day.